Yeah, I shake hands like this.
Yeah. No, like this.
Yeah, I shake hands like a high school skeleton model. Like
Anybody ever
like
give you one of those?
science class skeleton.
You ever have a lady give you one of these?
I don't think so.
Of course not. We're not from fairy tales. So give me a real handshake. I really like a lady who gives you a real handshake. When that happens, I'm like, oh, all right then.
Yeah, be like, oh, this is actually going to be a match.
You could jerk a cock. I can tell you've got some grip strength. Show me what you got. Like.
Be like, then you show up at the hospital 4 hours later. You're like, she can really jerk a cock.
It exploded.
Oh god, there's blood everywhere. There was a kid we worked in a summer camp with when I was 15. Where like he was so excited he got his first hand job, and like the girl had never given one either, and she made it bleed. And like
cock.
that story was like legendary. And one day I just was like, how do we know that? Like, which one of them told somebody? Like, which one of them involved in that? And my friend just goes, oh, it was the sheets. We saw it on the sheets and we asked him.
I don't like this. I don't need this. I don't need this in my mind right now.
We just saw the sheets and we asked him. We're like, is that hers? And he's like, no. And he told him what happened.
Good God, she chafed the blood out of his cock. Like why doesn't he stop and be like, whoa? I have definitely. I was
because he was a 15-year-old getting his first hand job. He was at that point. I mean,
Steve
at that
understands.
point, you're so bad at sex at that point that you're just like, oh, I guess this is supposed to feel this way.
No,
the first girl I ever made out with may as well have put a fucking dustbuster in my mouth and tried to suck my tongue out with it. It was horrific. But at the time, I made out with her for hours because I was like, this is the greatest thing. Someone wants to kiss me. This is amazing.
I know this girl, and she's got rough hands because she's a stripper. And I think like working the pole.
Yeah.
Like
the pole. Oh, I was like, wait a minute. I have missed.
They're not like rough like a cowboy.
Sandpaper.
Yeah, they're not like rough like a cowboy calluses, but like they're not as soft as mine. Frankly,
I do a lot of pull-ups. I can imagine what they're like.
I moisturize, and every time I've ever worked out, I wore gloves, and like working on the farm, always had to have my gloves, and my hands are very, very soft. All right, ladies appreciate that sort of thing. Anyway, this lady, very strong, rough-ish hands, and it makes like a hand job way too intense. And so I'm just like, whoa. All right, whoa, hang on, we need more lube.
It's like ribbed for your not pleasure.
Yeah, it's like a post-orgasm hand job, like when you just want them to stop. Like, all right, I've had too much stimulation. Stop. It's like that.
Oh,
but before
that's definitely orgasm. A thing, by the way. Can we talk about that for a second? Because that's not a thing I think enough people talk about. The idea of like the second it's done, please stop immediately. Like for the 3 women who listen to this program because your boyfriends make you, I think that it's really important for you to know this. I bet, by the way, every now and then, because like I said this on the program before, tons of PKA people come to shows. And so, but every now and then there would be like a PKA person with like a super hot girlfriend. And they'll just be like, oh man, we listen to you on PKA all the time. And I'll just say to her, I'll be like, oh, you a big PKA fan? Like I'll turn to her and she'll just like smile politely. I'm like, nah, okay, I get it. It's his thing, but you'll love him. So, but anyway, the idea of like, once it's over, like you gotta stop. You gotta stop, or that shit goes from this is the best feeling to this is the worst feeling very, very
So you've got a bloody nose. That's what's coming.
It's oh god. I thought that's how you started. Like
There's gonna be blood one way or another, I promise.
Oh god. Yeah, I think that a lot like there needs to be, I forget who, I think it was Doug Stanhope had a great bit about the idea that like we don't teach our sons how to masturbate, and like that's the greatest thing in our lives, and yet we don't pass on that knowledge. We just expect them to figure it out. And like I think that's true. Like sex ed is not technique at all. It's Danny Giles has a good bit about, he calls it consequence ed. It's not sex ed, it's just consequence ed. Like no one's actually teaching like, hey, clockwise motion. Like there are just so many things that like it takes a lifetime to figure out.
Shucks, I'm not sure I'm aware of that. Clockwise?
Clockwise. That was a reference to fingering. Like there are guys who think you're supposed to finger like this. Like
Yeah, this is a
fucking rank
massage.
amateurs.
This is a massage
Right.
we're performing. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not. You're not just supposed to be like bitty 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 bitty. Like it's not.
I like the idea of using 2 fingers, like you're like deflating dough.
It's like the old like A B A B A B A B A B like just mash the keypad as much as possible. Like there are things we just don't teach people.
I don't think they should. I think you'd have to learn the hard way though, because like
go on,
or the semi-hard way.
Yeah, or the semi-hard way. Like I don't want to talk too much about technique. Maybe I've learned some things that I find give me an edge. You know,
proprietary knowledge.
Advantage.
Proprietary knowledge. All right. I
God,
earned
what
this.
what a YouTube series. Like
oh
there are
no,
all
this
these
is a
like
Patreon only kind of series right here.
Like here's what happens when your SD card gets stuck in your camera. Like there's a million of those videos. Like why not a series of videos we can all like just like a swarthy dude with a 6-pack and no shirt, just a Jason Momoa looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Just like comes on and like teaches you how to do things.
Yeah, if y'all sign up for our Patreon, is linked down below. You know, we do a hangout every month where there's like 10 of us in a call, and I'll show you exactly how to make a lady nut by tickling the small of her back with your very long fingernails.
I saw
that's a reference
you
won't get, Steve, but
I do.
It's awful.
Nope.
Oh yeah, but Steve doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's good that he doesn't.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I do not. But I do remember, like I remember when like someone, it was like a friend of mine who told me when I think I was 16. A friend of mine like told me where the clit was. Like he's like, it's the thing above. Like, I mean, most of us start out thinking that there's only one hole.
Yeah, I was a teenager and I was watching some show on TV and they asked guys where the clit was and they made it like a safe for TV image of a vagina, you know, basically that oblong hole thing. And I was like, these idiots don't know where it was, and I thought it was right between like the pussy and the anus, like right at the bottom there. Like I would have pointed to the taint at the time, and I'm like, oh, these people are so stupid. They're pointing everywhere, and then they said, oh, it's
that
up
could
here.
Be useful for something else.
And I was like, I'm glad they didn't ask me. I would have embarrassed myself on TV just like these gentlemen.
Yeah, be like, oh, it ain't there.
No.
I think that sexual prowess is something that you should have to learn yourself. I feel like these are like, it's like alchemy, right? Like you, there's no need to be sharing these secrets. You know?
What about understudies? There could be academies. You could be in the guild.
Understudies in the bedroom means something completely different in my world.
Okay, fair. Sorry, I meant apprenticeships. Wrong word.
What's an understudy in the
apprenticeships.
bedroom? Kyle, lay it out for me.
I don't know. I was just really making a joke there. There's no.
I legit thought like, okay, Woody.
I suppose it has
first you learn not tying
ass or being beat someone. It was just kind of
I see the
reference.
like an undercarriage study person. I
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying like the idea of like, oh, you know, well, in this production of sex, our star performer is under the weather today, so we have an understudy who's going to come in, and you're just like, oh man. It's not the main one, but all right, I guess we'll see how they are.
Yeah. I feel like you learn these things over the course of a lifetime and, your experiences, and you see, trial and error.
But that's true for anything in life. So why
more
should
so
it be
with
so
sex,
proprietary?
though, because sex is so weird. Because all right, so you have to have very specific circumstances to even run your experiment, right? Like, if you're trying to figure out how certain chemicals react, well, you just get a bunch of fucking jars and beakers and go to work in your bedroom or whatever, your garage. But if
you can blow your eyebrows off in both situations.
But you have to have a lady present, right? And preferably an experience with multiple ladies, so that you really get a barometer for like, oh, I guess that only, because there's some things that one girl will like that another will hate, and so you need this sort of. You need a big study, right?
But that's what I'm saying. Like in order for you to learn,
size.
You have had to have had sex with enough people that you learn what works for most people. Every now and then you have sex with someone and you're just like, well, nothing's fucking working here. Like this person's into stuff that you know, clearly into things that in a way that I don't want to do it, or has a different rhythm or whatever else it is. But you have to figure out, you have to have sex with enough people to figure out not only what you like, but what more than half the other people like.
What you need.
And
so with infection, you use broad spectrum antibiotics when you're not sure exactly what you have, right? You need to learn the broad spectrum sexual techniques.
That is 100% true. Holy shit.
There are some broad spectrum sex acts that just work on everybody, right? You whip out that Hitachi magic wand, and it doesn't matter who it is. They're just like, oh, okay, all righty then. You know, but some girls, you stick your tongue in her butthole, and she's gonna like shit on you immediately.
Oh, that's the Hitachi magic wand, the tongue in the butthole.
Oh, no, that's a literal device that you seem to be unaware of.
You need to Google this thing because it is.
I'll send you an Amazon link right now.
And consider my Domi.
By the way, this is worth. It sounds like this is worth getting coronavirus over. So yeah, send it over. I'll go get one.
Consider the Domi 2. Yeah. It's the wireless version. Batteries have come a long way.
So this is like some sort of vibrator, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you've probably seen one before.
You know what? I believe in. I'm not into performance enhancers. You know, I think you should do this without steroids.
Look, it's hard to live your life through this world and have never been exposed to this thing.
I juice frequently.
I totally.
Along the lines of what we were saying, I have wondered. So I met my wife at 19. I was wondering, like, it is possible that while I think I'm good at sex, I am actually only good at sex with Jackie, and that if I were to like ever find myself in a situation where I was with someone else, they might be like, dude, you suck.
You guys might be having like 1990 sex, basically. Like you guys might be doing the latest stuff from like the early 90s where this was
what we need here is an outside observer, clearly.
Chatterbait.com/Woody's Gamer Tag. There'll be a performance on Friday.
We draw straws and
and figure out which one of you guys has to fuck Woody. Is that what you're doing?
Right. Woody has to perform what he does to Jackie on the short straw. And that's how this. Oh, you're gonna get a watch? You're gonna get a watch? Please, she's a lady.
No, it's possible that like there's all this stuff that's been developed.
Well, it's not as if I have no exposure to. Steve, you might be unaware, but there's a lot of media out there on the internet, which
is true.
Yeah, so.
I've seen Bob Ross paint, but I'm not going to make any masterpieces over here.
Jared Berenstein, who's one of the guys who tours with me a bunch, has a joke about how he used to be a prude, and then he got more sexually experienced, but then life passed him by, and now he's a prude again, which basically just means he doesn't eat ass.
Pussy.
Like that's what's changed.
Step up.
Where he was like, I'm into other stuff, but that's not a thing. I don't do that either. That's not a thing. I think it was. Do you guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I shouldn't have even asked. Woody, do you?
Yeah. Anything. Yeah. I would say actually
save the marriage. You know, you guys have been having sex with the same person.
You start off with with just one or two tools in the toolbox, and as time goes,
you get the full craftsman set.
Exactly.
That's what's in your utility belt.
I got a lift, air compressor in the corner, wood lathe by the wall.
But when you
240 volts in here, son.
How fresh does the shower have to be?
Immediate.
It's pretty.
Immediate.
That's what I mean. Like that's
immediate. You know, and like if we're really down for some action, then she's cleaned out back there. She's applied an enema. You know, we've planned ahead, and it's something you do. There's been a trim, preferably a wax, and you're gonna get after it. I really.
Oh, so this is not like a
spontaneous ass eating.
Yeah.
No, there's no such thing as. I don't think I've ever spontaneously eaten ass. No. This is a like. All right, now we're gonna go have sex kind of thing. Like no spontaneous ass eating. You got to have some real love involved.
This is not the. I'm in 101. You're in the advanced class, all right?
Yeah,
I'm learning about ass eating 101 right here.
That's super effective, and a lot of girls have never had that done. And the reaction that you get is it makes you feel good to make them feel good. I've known girls that are like, whoa, what is this thing? Really? Down there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You don't mind? No, I like it. Well.
Yeah.
I like you. So check or credit card? Can I swipe down here?
just Venmo at that point.
Do I tap it or swipe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I'm not.
And by the way, I'm not like disgusted by it. It's just I've never been in a situation where I feel like if I'm in a situation where I feel like the regular tools in the toolbox aren't working, I feel like that's not going to be the magic wand that'll suddenly change everything. I think just
the magic wand is the literal magic wand that will.
The actual magic
I sent
wand.
you a link down below. That's the corded version. It's like $55. It's worth $550. I have two in case one gives out. There are attachments for them. I don't know if no need to confirm or deny whether you're aware of the attachments for the magic wand, Woody, but there are attachments. One of them looks like a question mark. Is there like a flamethrower? That's my self-defense wand. That's a completely different wand. Yeah, there's one that has like a question mark and it sort of goes in and hits the G spot. So you're like going in and getting that curve action, but then it's very intense vibration. 2 speeds, super high and super duper high. Like those are the 2 speeds that.
Now that I know that you guys eat ass, when I said like, what are your survival skills for the apocalypse? I mean, that's one because we'll never run out of fuel. Never. Like you go across the country, you just have to trade. You just trade that for
Christ.
some dude with a gas can, and suddenly you're fine.
I don't want to eat crusty post-apocalypse man butt.
But you've got skills, Kyle. You cannot ignore your skills. It's very important.
This is the one you actually want.
It's damn.
It's the same except that it has the dial box.
Oh, you got the dial. See, I bought the dial aftermarket.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen stuff like this.
I knew that you had seen it in your, comings and goings at some point in your life.
My comings and my goings.
Yeah.
I've seen it in my comings and comings.
It can be without the dial box, you might not get the speed you're looking for at the moment.
So I've actually only ever been to like an adult store once.
Okay.
And it was because I was hanging out with a couple of friends and someone said something about like going to one, and I was like, I don't think I've ever been to one of those. And they're like, okay, well, we have to take you. And it was like I was hanging out with like 2 pretty women who wanted to take me to a sex shop, and I was like, all right. And so we went, and I realized that like the vast majority of things there, it's probably like 95, and this was an enormous one because we were in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a state shaped like a dick. Like, what do you want? So everything in that store was pretty much for women or gay men. There was like very, very little for straight guys.
Yeah, there have been some advancements for men, with the various pocket pussies.
But there's like
and such.
Yeah, but there was like a shelf of that, and then an emporium of like vibrators and giant dildos and like and games based on everything's a penis in the game, and like there's like a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there's very, very little for straight dudes, and I think it's because most of us don't need it. Like a good gust of wind is a sex toy.
You might be right. I had a different theory. I could be wrong, but I thought that women.
By the way, I don't have coronavirus. We've just been talking a lot. Some horse.
I thought that women, because they have periods, are naturally inclined to like devices like tampon inserters and pads, and whereas it's just my own
like
thing.
An evolution thing.
Almost like look, they're used to tools, and with guys or not, there's nothing that you ever have to do to your penis really. And because of that, there's almost like a barrier to break when you start introducing tools. Whereas women, it's
there's a company called Love Sense. They make excellent toys. These are controlled by an app on your phone, and you can either use Bluetooth for close range control, or it has internet capabilities. So
it's like a put it in while you're at work type of thing.
You can be anywhere in the world, and I can be over here in quarantine, controlling the intensity and the pace of the vibrations. I can program in all sorts of things. I can download other people's programs. It'll be like boom, 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 boom.
It sounds like both hot and supervillain shit.
Yeah,
like the idea of like.
I haven't tried it, but there are male masturbators that match up to videos. So like, when they're going heavy, you're going heavy. If they slow down or change position, you take a pause. and the video.
Go
ahead.
I think here's the difference, though. I disagree with your evolutionary theory.
Okay.
I think couple of differences. One, there are a lot of women who would love to orgasm and not have to talk to us. Like there's a decent amount of that. There's also just the idea of like with a guy, if I want to get it over with. Like if I'm by myself, I want to get it over with as quick as possible. I want it to be like, here's a thing I want to do. I want to have that feeling and get on with my day. But there are women who like, I'm going to make a night of this. I'm going to make an evening. I'm going to bring myself to the brink, or I'm going to do this 10 times in a row because evolutionarily they can do that we can't. And so like for me, now look, I'm a goal-oriented person, but like the idea of like getting things done and walking away, whereas like there are a lot of women who are like, let's light some candles, let's take a bath, drink some wine, play some music. Like I've never been like, oh man, I wanna whack off. Let me put on some Tom Petty. Like I've never been like but I've been like, oh, I want to have sex. Let me put on some Tom Petty. So like I think it's a different thing.
Because the women will set out for like an event, an evening of fun, and guys are just in and out.
Sometimes I got some time to kill.
Yeah. Although I guess my theory doesn't take into account why there are so many there are a lot of sex toys for gay dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there are a lot of maybe it's just more acceptable to have like a severed dick than like a separate vagina. I don't know.
I think it is. Yeah.
In the comments, why don't let's give your feedback.
Yeah, I have a collection. I have an enormous collection, thousands of dollars.
Of what?
Various sex toys.
I've wondered, like, I don't know. Maybe
I got
my
like
mind
a big,
is
crazy
twisted.
fuck machine that's got the speed. It's just a crazy fuck machine. Oh yeah.
Here's the question. I felt like
I'll show you.
Sex toys should be for a person or a couple, right? I would feel weird if I use the same toy on person after, like, if they extend it between girlfriends.
That's actually how coronavirus got spread. Originally,
people don't share
weren't
these
disinfecting
thoughts?
their severed dicks. No, Woody, I absolutely agree with you. And also, I'd like to add that like it depends. And look, it depends on the type of women that you date.
I have a good answer to that when he's done.
But I absolutely, which is why I'm going first. You're the headliner on this question. So I have been in a situation like, look, I have two things when it comes to like sexual objects at home. I have condoms and I have lube. And I've had like, hooking up with a girl and she's like, why do you have lube? Like what, you get laid enough that you have your own lube ready to go?
What a boring
and like
bitch.
and that's why I'm saying like it depends on like if you
should
date.
Explain. I don't get laid very often, which is why I have lube.
Yeah. You're like, which is both. It's both for me and also you see most of the bottles still here. So I just think that it depends. Like, look, Kyle, you're gonna bring someone home who's like, where is your sex swing? Like they're gonna assume you
and I'm
have
gonna
one.
tell them where it is.
Right. But that's my point.
Dungeon,
they're not like they're not right. They're not gonna be taken aback by that. I think it depends on who you date. And,
I mean,
in terms of like if you're too prepared, you look a little either. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be quick, Kyle. If a girl said, "Hey, Woody, my last boyfriend loved this prostate massager," I'd be like, "He did, huh? Like, can we get a new one for me?"
I would never phrase it like that. I would say, "Girls go crazy for this one. Come check it out." You'd never phrase that. You don't bring up anybody.
There's various testimonials on the side of it. Be like 4 stars, Becky.
Nancy was here.
I'm trying to find the sex machine that I have, but
I just think that like I agree it's a very personal thing. The same way that like, look, you can wash a pair of underwear a million times. I'm not ever wearing someone else's underwear. Like if I'll buy a t-shirt at a secondhand store with no problem. So, but the idea of like those boxers, put them in the fucking garbage.
Also, I haven't dated new people when there was an understanding that like everyone, like 25, that like everyone had a sexual history, right? Like I think when if Kyle were to meet a lady, a new one, no one's playing the virgin card anymore, right?
Right.
and they're communicative before they're back at the apartment or whatever. So there's probably a whole different scene than I'm used to, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. But at the same time, there are still, I think a lot of dating is pretending. Like, we all know that the other person is, look, if you have sex with someone for the first time and they're good at sex, it's because they've done it a lot. And we all know that. And so you do want your partner to be experienced, but you also don't want your partner to be like, oh, this guy Jim I was with, he liked this one thing, so I'm going to try that with you. Like, you don't want, you're putting that out of your head. I think that's an important part.
I don't think they make it anymore.
I thought Steve was going to go into,
oh my God,
you're dating their representative. And I'm like,
Yeah.
The one I've got's like $1,200 or something like that.
Wow.
It's you've got real adjustable height and it pivot. Like there's 3 arms. So with 3 arms of control, you can do anything.
It's
you
the
can
CNC machine of sex.
It can go, absolutely. It can go flat on the ground and straight up, or it can go like super duper high and go like almost straight down, like anything and everything. And even the length, the thrust can be like super short thrust, like or like real long. And then infinite attachments for it and speed control, just like the Hitachi one. It plugs into the wall, of course.
How does it get washed?
Well, you've
safe,
got attachments, right? That are essentially vacuum lock dildos. And so, the machine has this metal thing, and it goes into the back of the dildo, and they lock together. And then you've got to like pop it back off, and then then wash the dildo.
But fluids are not like that controllable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when there start to be fluids involved, I'm sure you've been in a sexual situation where like, oh, well, that got over there, huh? Like, and so there's got to be stuff that's gotten on the machine in other parts of the machine.
No, I don't think so. No, I put condoms on the toys. Like, that's my answer to like the whole sharing toys thing. Like, you put a condom on there, like, it's been washed and there's a condom on it last time it was used and this time it's used. And if you want your own toy, if you're clickety click, clickety clack, Amazon has plenty.
They send me more.
I'll put your name on the side with a Sharpie if that's what you want. I want everybody to feel comfortable here.
Amazon is like contemplating shutting orders unless it's like medicine or necessary food. And meanwhile, Kyle is like, well, it's been rumored. It's not going to happen. But I mean, like, it's the type of thing where like Trump was like, oh, we're going to close travel to Washington and California. And he said that like 2 weeks ago. And like, I'm just saying that like, it's a thing that someone said, and it was going to set up the joke that the idea that like Kyle, meanwhile, is like, but then how do I get my prime dildos?
No, Kyle will say, this is an emergency. These aren't necessary.
This is a wartime commodity.
What do I have wrong about
There's a medical emergency. We're playing doctor. So move aside. Give me the dildo.